when you're at the level you were at as an executive working with all these different studios and the projects, at least you start off initially working with one project. You get into that, you're in the production phase, but then at a certain point, you start to take on other projects, whether they go into pre-production or principal photography or early phase development. And so now, but you're still working on the current project, finishing that up. So you're at one point in time, you're working on multiple projects. So my question is, can you tell me a time when you had a couple projects at once, if you remember those names? If not, that's okay. And then also, what is from that experience, the lesson that you've taken from doing those high priority things at once into what you're doing now at the Sukha company?
So super cool. So let me say this. The path for a lot of people in Hollywood, and obviously Hollywood, the film business, has contracted a lot in the past 10, 15 years, right? Because maybe 20 years ago, there were not a lot of other options. Like there wasn't Facebook and social media to distract you. The gaming options weren't as robust as they are now, right? Mm-hmm. So now Hollywood has felt that contraction and the deals are getting smaller. Fewer movies are getting made. They're really aiming just to do like a Marvel or DC movie or a really tiny movie. Like that mid-range movie is kind of gone now. So Hollywood, the jobs have evolved, right? So let me lay out for you like how typically you become a producer or a studio executive, you know, assuming your dad's name is not Paramount or, you know, Metro Goldwyn Mayer or something, right?
Exactly.
So a lot of Hollywood is relationship driven, right?
Yes,
it is very subjective. This is not a business where, you know, it's all ones and zeros and you can add them up and get the right answer. Someone may love a script, someone may hate a script. That script may get made, it may be a hit, it may be a flop. Like there's so many variables and there's so much subjective nature that means the relationships are really important. So when you come to Hollywood, you generally start out as an assistant of some sort. And Hollywood assistants are on the phone calls. They do everything for the boss. So you listen on the phone call, what he's talking about or she's talking about. You're taking notes after the call. You're like, right, I saw we got to send BK that script. Oh, we have to send Puri the dailies. And you know, you're sort of relied upon this. It's a grunt job, but you learn a lot because you're kind of the arms and legs for your boss, right? So when you do that, you're doing it with 2,000-3,000 other assistants around Hollywood, right? You're all kind of in the same graduating class in Hollywood. Like you're trying to, you know, learn everything you can and make relationships and get to the next level. So then hopefully if you've done well, you get a job as a junior executive and then you slowly move up, you know, the ladder, which is what I did. I was the first assistant to the president of Paramount. That was a great job because I met a lot of people. You know, you work for the president of the studio and, you know, you meet people. And I was kind of the gatekeeper to him. So you had to be nice to me, which is cool, right?
Right, of course.
So that turned into a junior executive job at Sony, at a production company over on the Sony lot, the old MGM lot in Culver City. Did that for a little over a year, maybe a year, 2 years, and then went to DreamWorks. That was a great period of time for me, the few years at DreamWorks. Rose up, you know, was an executive vice president for Alex Kurtz and Bob Orsi, who were, you know, writers there. And that time it was the Transformers 1 and 2 era, you know, Eagle Eye, The Proposal, stuff like that, right? And they had done when I met them, they had done Mission Impossible 3 and The Island and Zorro, and they'd come off Alias, the J.J. Abrams series.
Oh, I love that show.
They had redone Alias, and they were just, I got to tell you, amazing people to work with because they were so in love with the craft. You know, genuinely loved film, screenwriting, and working with them up my game. Like I learned a lot about screenwriting from them. And that turned into an offer from Fox to go over there. And I thought that was interesting to go. I mean, I grew up watching the Die Hard movies. To be the executive on the next Die Hard movie sounded kind of cool, you know? Be the executive on the next Wolverine movie sounded kind of cool. So I did that for like 2 years. Didn't really dig Fox. Not a great, you know, culture fit. And then, you know, that sort of led to, well, I'm not sure I want to be doing Die Hard 6. And, you know, I really didn't respect my boss and he didn't dig me. And I was like, I kind of want to get out of the sequel, prequel, franchise, spinoff, you know, like business. And that was when I was like, okay, with a friend, we started a little company, little tech startup to work around this idea of like productivity and how your mind works. And that really led me deeply into flow states. And that's why I was like, when I first had an experience in a flow state, I was like, I got so much done. I feel great. I have the afternoon free now. How do you do this all the time? Like, why didn't someone tell me in college about flow states? It's just so different. And that is when I was like, oh, you know what? There are a bunch of writers I worked with. This is what they were doing. They didn't really talk about it being a flow state, but this is how they did great work. And that was super interesting to me. And that's kind of the arc of how we got here on this podcast.